Establish everything.
Cherry Ripe, the big cherry taste.
Take a bow, dear old Melbourne. You put on quite a show.
The following program is a 7 Sport presentation. Seven Sport, the racing specialists, now take you live via satellite to New Jersey, USA, for this exclusive telecast of the prestigious Meadowlands Pace.
And good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Bill Collins, who's on the sick list, welcome to the 7 Network's live coverage of the world's richest 3-year-old harness race, the $1 million Meadowlands Pace from Meadowlands in New Jersey. It's going to be a magnificent race, and if you haven't seen the race before, we've got last year's race to show you. They race on a mile track in New Jersey. There are 12 runners in this year's race, but first of all, before we go over to New Jersey, let's have a look at the last year's running of the Meadowlands Pace.
The field for the 1981 Meadowlands Pace. On the gate and on the move. All 12 moving nicely, ready to go for that $1 million jackpot. Here they come. Go away first. It's going to be Numero with Seahawk Hanover going right up to take charge. Out quickly on the outside, that's Slapstick going to move up into contention. New York Motoring drops in on the rail 4th. Land Grant in 5th with Computer tucked in on the rail 6th. Then it's Eastern Skipper moving to the outside from 7th. Armbro Whiz is next. Along the outside is Concord, and down on the rail, that's No No Nero, followed by Brand New Fella. Last as they come off the turn is Night Wind. That quarter in a flat 28. They head down the back stretch. Seahawk Hanover has a 2-length advantage. Slapstick is tucked in 2nd. Numero's in 3rd. Here comes Land Grant moving right up to join the leaders. Going to be followed by Eastern Skipper up into 5th and going up. New York Motoring is 6th. Armbro Whiz is 7th. Computer's 8th and locked in along the rail. Concord right alongside is 9th. Brand New Fella goes to the outside, looking to avoid traffic problems. Then it's Night Wind and it's No No Nero. They went the half in 56.4. It's anybody's shot right now on the turn. Land Grant's got a head advantage, but Seahawk Hanover controls the rail. And Slapstick is up and ready to move at them, along with Numero along the inside in 3rd. Up a closer 4th now comes Hervé Filion with Eastern Skipper. Coming 3 wide is Slapstick, ready to make his charge at the leaders. Then it's Armbro Whiz. Concord stacks to the outside and trying to find some kind of room is Computer. 3/4 now in 1:25 and 3. And going off by 3 lengths is Seahawk. He's all alone in mid-stretch. Seahawk Hanover's got it by 5. They're spread across the track trying to take the 2nd spot. Now coming is Concord. Concord is hosing in. Concord coming with Computer. It's Concord.
Right, that was last year's winner, Concord, and he won the race last year in the, we'll just check the time, very fast, 1:54.6. As you can see, they start 10 horses across the front and 2 on the 2nd row from the mobile. And for those states where the TAB is operating on the race, a quick check that the horses from number 9 down won't be carrying the saddlecloth numbers of your TAB numbers. Number 9 will carry saddlecloth 1A, number 10 will be 1B, number 11 will be number 2A, and number 12 will be number 3A. That's quite important to note, especially knowing the American race callers. They don't always go back too far in the field. So if you're back near the rear and you want to pick up your horse, just take note of those numbers 9 through to 12. A quick check on the 2 main fancies in the race. In a market we have from America, the favourite for the race is No Nukes, who is a 9-5 favourite ahead of Mackenzie Elmerhurst, who was 2-1. And No Nukes apparently is not all that reliable at the barrier and can be a little bit tardily away. You certainly won't want to do that in a very fast race over a mile. But No Nukes has won $228,000 in its career with 12 starts for 8 wins and 1 second and 1 third. Mackenzie Elmerhurst has won over $1 million in stake money, $1,219,000 in fact, has won 15 of its 22 starts. So they're the 2 horses to watch for. Mackenzie Elmerhurst is number 9 and No Nukes is drawn number 2. So it's got a very fancied barrier draw, so it should be very hard to beat. I think we've got a picture from over at Meadowlands in New Jersey, so we might cross over there right now.
And now Stabilizer joining him for the drive to the wire. But on the outside, it is the most happy fellow 3-year-old gelding, Livingston County, with Ted Wing driving, who is coming on most powerfully of all. He is trained by Steve Demas, who would like nothing more, we imagine, than to score a double here, winning both the consolation and the final with no nukes. And at the wire, 1:55 1/5 as Livingston County comes from last to win in the long Meadowlands stretch and pays $640, $380, and $260, with Stabilizer paying $820 and $380, and Mr. Dalray third paying $260 to show.
One week ago tonight, 12 horses qualified for tonight's $1 million Meadowlands Pace. This past Tuesday, post positions were drawn at a press conference. The number 1 post position went to Rompin' Home, with Bill O'Donnell driving. The outside post position in the first tier, number 10, went to one of the other parts of the entry, Hilarion. Hilarion, one of the biggest surprises in the elimination paces. And we talked to Bill O'Donnell, who drove Hilarion in the elimination, about the chances for that horse in tonight's final. Do you know Hilarion, and what kind of a horse is he? And does he have any quirks?
No, I don't think so. I know that last year, Jerry Silverman, who was a trainer, he was real high on him late in the year. And he brought him back this year, and he was kind of disappointed early. But, you know, since like the last month or so, I guess maybe the heat or something, you know, might have brought him around. But now he's a real nice horse.
Another horse with a great chance to bank the major share of that $1 million purse is Mackenzie Almahurst, the horse who won the second elimination heat. Trainer-driver Bill Houghton talked with Stan Bergstein about his theory on post positions.
Tell us a little bit about your observations on post positions in this race.
Well, Stan, after I drew 9, I got thinking about it, and I looked back over the history of the 13 previous either qualifying dashes or finals of the Meadowlands Pace. And there were only 4 winners that were inside of 7th position.
And only one, I believe, that had the rail.
One that had the rail, 1 second, 1 fifth, and I believe 2 seconds and 1 fifth. The rest were all out 7 or worse.
Including you in several of your eliminations.
Yes, I had 9 in the elimination with Falcon Almahurst and then 8 in the final.
What's the explanation of the success of horses drawing those positions in big fields?
Well, in large fields, so many times the inside horses and horses that are against the rail just don't get a chance to get loose and do anything. Where the outside horses do have a longer trip, but at least they're in the clear where they can either go to the front or follow some live cover.
Lou Gaida, who has an ownership interest in 3 of the horses in tonight's Meadowlands Pace, has an interesting idea on how his 3 horses are going to finish. No matter what the post position, it's the finish of the race that counts for the trophy and the $1 million. And it should be one heck of a contest.
And the horses are moving onto the track right now. Let's take a look at the field. Here's Rompin' Home and Bill O'Donnell in the bike.
This is one of them, Dave, I did not rate last year because he only started 4 times, won 2 of those races. Lou Gaida said he thought he was one of the best-looking 2-year-olds he'd ever seen last year, but he saw something I didn't see or knew something I didn't know. However, he has raced himself into a position of contention here for the final.
Number 1A, Mackenzie Almahurst is up the track. Here's Hilarion, 1B.
Well, Hilarion was another one that last year did not do very much. He won only $4,369. There is Mackenzie Almahurst right now, turning for Hall of Famer Bill Houghton. They're part of a 3-horse common interest entry, meaning they have common interest of ownership, those 3. Hilarion, John Campbell making the turn, and here is number 2.
Glenn Garnsey drives no nukes.
This is, by many people's opinion, the fastest of them all. Glenn Garnsey driving, and now we come
Temujin.
to 2A, who is the entry partner of No Nukes. They've been both syndicated by common ownership. Alan Levitt out of Bedminster, New Jersey. Howard Beisinger, a member of the Hall of Fame, drives this son of the great race mare Silk Stocking.
Solid Fuel wears saddlecloth number 3, and Buddy Gilmore is in the bike.
Gilmore, of course, one of the greatest race drivers in American harness racing. $109,000 winner this year is Solid Fuel, $137,000 last year. Despite that fact, he's going to be an outsider in this group.
Two for the price of one here. Solid Fuel is coupled with Apollo's Way. Shelley Goudreau driving.
And the reason that they're coupled is that they're both trained by Shelley Goudreau, another of the top drivers, as are all of the drivers in this contest. So Apollo's Way also has been third in his last two starts. $350,000 winner last year. Tough assignment.
Pit boy is number 4, Jim Doherty, who's been red hot this week.
Well, Doherty's red hot, and this colt won the $500,000 Jersey Classic, and he's acting up on the racetrack right now. He is out of a $500 mare, but he's won $324,000 this year. No one told him about his mother.
Elitist is number 5, and that's Jack Parker Jr. in the red, white, and blue silk.
This colt came in here on the strength of a 157 1/5 mile at Saratoga in the Battle of Saratoga on the half-mile track, so he obviously commands respect.
Tyler's brother with Bill Popfinger.
This is the long shot in the race. He hasn't won a race in 6 starts this year, won 3 out of 6 last year, but Popfinger has a way of upsetting with colts. He's done it before, including in the Little Brown Jug, another great classic. And there is Popfinger and Tyler's brother.
And as we said, the longest price on the board. Here's J.J.'s Biltmore, number 7, and Jack Bailey driving.
A lot of people like this horse's chances of being an upsetter. Although Hilarion beat him last week, he was second to Hilarion in a mile and 154 3/5. But he'll have to go, I think, a little faster than that tonight to win.
And number 8, Icarus Lobel, completes the field, and Hervé Filion drives.
With the all-time race-winning driver in harness racing history, over 8,000 victories to his credit, as we mentioned, Hervé Filion. Lou Martinez drives Icarus Lobel, and he says he is the best, and maybe he is. We'll find out shortly.
That's the field for the $1 million Meadowlands Pace at the Meadowlands. And we'll be back with more in just a moment. This is Post Time USA.
Most homes have this problem: not enough power outlets for the electrical appliances. But here's the solution: the portable HPM PowerMate. It's a beauty and can transform any power point to a 4-way outlet. It's tidy too, because the PowerMate can be hung up on the wall as simply as that. Not only does the PowerMate look good, but it's inexpensive too. It gives you the freedom to change the room around whenever you fancy.
The HPM PowerMate.
You hear the sound of children playing while the sun is quietly fading. Time has come to give your kids their bath time.
Bath time. A great way to get children clean so they enjoy it. And so do you.
There's not a kid that doesn't need his bath time.
Bath time. It makes little angels out of tiny little grubs.
If you book with Flag right now, Super Sally will show you how. With 100 grand to give away, $100 could come your way.
It's in the book, just take a look. Where to stay, how much to pay.
So book ahead, without delay, and win $100 for your holiday.
You're everywhere, where they really care. It's in the book.
Flag ends $100,000 giveaway. Book ahead now.
What we learn from winning rally after rally gets built into better, more reliable Datsun stanzas for you, like the 1982 Datsun Stanza GX. With more space, cloth bucket seats, an adjustable lumbar support for the driver, and a 5-speed gearbox for better performance and economy. The Datsun Stanza range, more than ever, the driver's cars.
Of horses, the term bad actor comes up occasionally. A bad actor does not necessarily mean a bad horse, just a temperamental one. In tonight's race, there are several horses who have been given that tag, bad actor, at one time or another. One of the favorites in tonight's race, No Nukes, was labeled a bad actor after his performance in last year's Woodrow Wilson. The colt had fallen down during the warm-ups and was edgy when the gate started moving. Here's the call.
Okay, thank you very much, Dave. They're behind the gate now, and they're moving. We've got a couple of stragglers back there. Get that one up in the field. That happens to be the stragglers, No Nukes, and we've got a false start, so we will have a recall.
Moments later, No Nukes broke again. Stan and I commented on it then.
Dave, thank you very much. crowd got a bit of a reaction when they realized that it was No Nukes that caused that first recall, and he's fractious right now. He's not on a sound gate, so this could be a problem for a second recall, and that's what we're going to have, gentlemen.
What happens here, Stan?
Well, what happens here is that the entire complexion of this race has now changed. There were some horsemen last week who did not take the excuses that were given for No Nukes when they said he simply hit himself. There were some horsemen who said that No Nukes was acting a lot differently last week than he had been acting in those previous races that he won. And those horsemen who said that apparently were right. This colt tonight is not the same colt we saw earlier in the year, which is not an excuse for him. It's just an explanation of what's happening. He is fractious out there, and he simply will not come to that gate.
No Nukes was disqualified from the Woodrow Wilson, and because he was the odds-on favorite, he caused a $318,000 refund. But that was not the end of the problem for No Nukes. As the race began, he tossed his head, broke stride again, spotted the field some 20 lengths. But No Nukes showed his heart, got back on stride, and moved up to an incredible third at the three-quarter pole. But it was too late. No Nukes tired in the stretch and was 11th under the finish line. No Nukes isn't the only favorite in this race that occasionally has a bad actor problem. Here's Mackenzie Almahurst breaking stride on the backstretch during the Peter Houghton Memorial Pace. We talked to one of Mackenzie's owners, Lou Guida, about the colt's traits.
Mackenzie Almahurst is a horse that Billy gives a lot of credit to his son, Tommy Houghton. Mackenzie was a bad actor. He shakes his head. He likes to run his own race, and Billy's son made some changes on him that made a big difference in him. And there was some psychology used with him, but exactly what it was, you'll have to ask Billy.
Ironically, one of the times they met this year, the two favorites for this year's Meadowlands Pace both acted up. The race was an elimination heat for the New Jersey Classic. Both had problems starting that night, with No Nukes spotting the field 6 lengths at the start. At the three-quarter pole, Mackenzie Almahurst was 10th, with No Nukes right behind him as they started their moves. No Nukes pulled in front of Mackenzie, and they finished 1-2. We asked trainer Jay Farrar just what causes a bad actor.
Trainer Jay Farrar, what about horses who are known as bad actors? Where do they come from? How do you cure them?
Well, it depends on what stage of their career that it occurs, their misconduct. If it's when they're yearlings and being broken, usually just schooling and just teaching them, training them, they'll overcome it. If it comes later in their career, if it's a bad actor that's an aged horse, usually it's inveterate and it's just a matter of rigging. Le Baron Rouge comes to mind, an outstanding free-for-all pacer here that had to be raced out of the back paddock all the time. They couldn't get him up here to this outdoor paddock, so you just kind of work with it and rigging.
Jay, have you ever had a bad actor, a horse that had psychological problems that you almost needed a psychiatrist for rather than a trainer?
Yes, sometimes you wonder what's going through their little pea brains whenever they do things that you have no answer for. I had a horse one year, an aged horse too, no colt, who would not go around tractors. He would go to the inside of them, but not around the outside. You try to go around the outside and you end up in the left field somewhere. And in that instance, there was absolutely nothing that could be done about it. It was just a matter of working around his little idiosyncrasy.
Bad acting has also been a bit of a problem to other horses in tonight's race, such as Hilarion, Rompin' Home, and Icarus Lobel. How to deal with a bad actor has been a topic of many discussions among horse owners and trainers. Lou Guida talks about how trainer Jerry Silverman stopped the bad acting problems of Romping Home.
Romping Home was a horse that became a bad actor last year. When he saw the crowd, he kicked the cart apart, and he went absolutely crazy. Nearly killed Bill O'Donnell on himself last year. So I took some old tape calls, and I made up some tapes. And I made up a tape of race calls, and I bought Jerry Silverman the tape and a tape recorder, and I made him promise religiously that he would play that in a horse's stall morning, noon, and night when they were walking with him. And everyone in Florida thought that Jerry was crazy. But I call up every day to make sure he was playing, and the horse really became used to it. As a matter of fact, it got him so psyched up, he smashed the first recorder. He stomped all over it. We bought him another tape, and we continued to play it throughout the season for him. He still has it now, and I think that's made a big difference in him. I think he's become used and adjusted to the crowd. I think that you need psychology with horses just like with people.
Let's hope that we don't have any bad actors or recalls tonight. Want to welcome all the folks down under in New Zealand and Australia. It's Saturday afternoon, and they have joined us live for this edition of the Meadowlands Pace. And Stan, how about post position? How much of a part does it play, do you think, right here?
I don't think it plays very much of a part in here, and past history would indicate in this race that it doesn't play a part. In 12 out of the 16 past races, qualifying races or finals, the horse that won it either had fifth post position or an outside post position. So what can happen if you have an inside post with big fields like a 12-horse field here, you could get trapped down along the rail and may never get out.
Quick look at the odds board. The 3-horse entry at 5-2. That's Rompin' Home, McKenzie, Almahurst, and Hilarion. Number 2, that's No Nukes and Temujin, is 7-5. 25-1 for the Solid Fuel Apollo's Way entry. And then number 4, Pit Boy, is down to 5-2. Big drop there. Elitist is up to 11. 99 on Tyler's Brother. 13-1 on JJ's Biltmore. Icarus Lobel is at 10-1. Stan, how about this hot weather? How will it affect these horses?
Well, it'll affect them by making them go faster, although one thing about tonight, although it's hot, 90 degrees, there's a little bit of a breeze blowing. It is not one of those hot, intolerably humid nights which produces really the fastest mile. But off the strength of what's happened here tonight, an earlier mile in 1:55 in the second race, a mile in 1:56 in the third race, and the consolation 3-year-old event, going in 1:55 and 1/5 to Livingston County, I look for these horses to go in either 1:53 and a piece or 1:54.
Temujin and Apollo's Way start from the second tier. All 12 on gate, and here's Tom Durkin with the call.
They're off. And Elitist is out quickly, and on the far outside, Hilarion moves up. Rompin' Home comes away third toward the inside. Pit Boy in between horses, racing fourth. JJ's Biltmore 3 wide and fifth, and Temujin toward the inside is racing in sixth. And then it's Apollo's Way, 7th toward the inside. Tyler's Brother is now 8th at the rail. McKenzie Almahurst came away 9th, and No Nukes came away 10th. Then it's Solid Fuel, and Icarus Lobel trails the field 12th and last. 28 seconds flat for the first quarter. They move up the backstretch now, and from the outside, there goes Elitist to take over from Hilarion. 2.5 lengths to Rompin' Home, now racing in third, and Pit Boy is the first over, moving up into fourth. Toward the inside, Temujin is 5th by 1.5 lengths. Apollo's Way on the outside is 6th by 1/2 length. Tyler's Brother is 7th toward the rail. And there goes No Nukes with a 3-wide move down the backstretch. No Nukes begins to roll quickly. He's up into 4th as they reach the half mile. Farther back, it's JJ's Biltmore. Icarus Lobel on the outside is now racing in 9th. And then it's McKenzie Almahurst, followed by Solid Fuel, the trailer. 57-1 for the half mile. The field moves into the far turn, and it is No Nukes. No Nukes now in front by a head. Elitist is right there racing in second. JJ's Biltmore is on the move, 3 wide. Pit Boy is just off the leaders between horses, racing in 4th position. Hilarion within striking distance, but locked at the rail in 6th, and Temujin swings wide for the drive. McKenzie Almahurst is far back in the pack. 1:25-2 for 3/4. The field is at the top of the stretch. It's No Nukes in front by a 1/2 length. Elitist is right there, second. Pit Boy on the outside. Rompin' Home toward the rail, and Hilarion. They move to the final 16th. No Nukes in front and driving. Hilarion is right there, second. Here comes McKenzie with a late move on the outside. No Nukes with a short lead. Hilarion right there. No Nukes and Hilarion. It's too close to call. Hilarion and No Nukes finish together. Final time, 1:54-1. Too close to call.
A photo finish, and we'll have to wait for the photo. One thing is certain, it was 1:54 and 1/5 second. We'll be back. Post Time USA will continue in just a moment.
Hey, that's an improvement.
That's some improvement.
That's a terrific improvement. Now, that's what I call an improvement.
Now that is an improvement.
For 21 years, we've done nothing but improve. Call A.V. Jennings Home Improvements for a new way of life, right where you're living now.
The Datsun Bluebird is Australia's #1 selling 2-litre car. Right now, you can buy a brand new 4-speed manual Datsun Bluebird GL sedan for a special $7,690. A 2-litre Sigma GL costs $8,260. Victoria's Datsun dealers guarantee you won't pay more than $7,690 for a Datsun Bluebird GL sedan, but only until the end of July. See your participating Datsun dealer today for a top trade-in and a #1 price on the #1 Datsun Bluebird.
Because the best entertainment is when you entertain yourself, Fisher-Price makes entertaining toys that are built to give hours of pleasure and take years of hard knocks. Our tape recorder has a grown-up, quality-guaranteed sound system in a sturdy case with simple controls. Then there's our movie viewer. Your children just slip in the cartridge and then turn the crank. Forward, faster, slow motion, even backward. The Entertainers by Fisher-Price. Let your children run their own show.
Over the years, I've developed my own special style. Backhand's part of it. Concentrate on your own style and you can be the best. It works for Kentucky Fried Chicken. Their secret recipe has its own special style. No one else does it so tender and juicy the Colonel's way.
Hey, Gong, lunchtime.
Ah!
Kentucky Fried Chicken, we do it right. Kentucky Fried Chicken, we do chicken right.
Showed 1B. Hilarion was up to win it in the final stride with No Nukes finishing second in the tightest of photo finishes.
Well, it was the tightest of photo finishes, and No Nukes could not get to the front over at the far turn, and that battle around that turn just took enough out of him, and Hilarion came on, and it is a surprise. Hilarion last week won elimination here in 1:54 and 3/5 for Bill O'Donnell. O'Donnell was driving romping home tonight, and John Campbell got the mount behind Hilarion. And we mentioned earlier this evening that those two represent two of the most talented young drivers in American harness racing history, and they showed it tonight, or at least Campbell did, as he wins this $1 million race with a horse that was very lightly regarded at the beginning of the year.
Let's take a look at the replay now as the field moved around the far turn. Hilarion is way far in the background.
Well, No Nukes is trying gamely and valiantly on the outside here, and at this point it looks like he might be going to win it. He is in front, and Glenn Garnsey is asking him for every ounce he has, and the horse gave him every ounce that he had. We thought it would go in 1:54. It went in 1:54 and 1, and look at Campbell getting the last drop from Hilarion. Hilarion, the winner, is by strikeout. He is a horse that was very successful on the racetrack, but has not been quite as successful because he is not a prolific breeder in the breeding shed. But the ones that he sires have speed, and this one showed his speed and his toughness and his gameness tonight.
And he was tough and game in the eliminations a week from tonight, last week. And you know, it was so funny. Bill O'Donnell came over to this very spot 1 week ago, and he shook his head and he said, I thought the folks were throwing their money away putting this horse in the eliminations. It cost a few bucks to bring the horse around.
Well, he has a good, pardon me, Dave.
And here he is not only winning the elimination heat, but winning the big one, the $1 million.
Well, he has a good reason for thinking that, because last year the horse won $4,300. He just won $500,000 in winning this $1 million one tonight. And you can see a very, very happy crew. The 9-star stable out of Yardley, Pennsylvania, are the owners, and it looks like all 9 stars are down there with John Campbell and his lovely wife.
And that was Lou Guida congratulating the driver just a second ago. And John Campbell, he really was very lucky to get this catch drive, I would think.
Well, Campbell is just absolutely a super driver. He is one of the great race drivers of our generation and of all times, and he and O'Donnell have stamped themselves in just a few short years. Their history goes back here to the history of the Meadowlands.
Let's take a look at the prices. It's official now on the tote board, and the winner, of course, was coupled in the wagering as part of a 3-horse entry with Rompin Holman and Mackenzie Almahurst. So Hilarion, coupled with Mackenzie Almahurst and Rompin Holman, pays $720. $320 and even more $340 to show. No Nukes pays $3.260. That horse was coupled in the wagering with Temujin, and the 3rd horse under the wire, Mackenzie Almahurst, was of course coupled with Hilarion, so those prices right across the board for Mackenzie Almahurst also.
The reason
Hello, Stephen Phillips here in Melbourne with the summary of the race. Hilarion, number 10, TAB number 10, No Nukes, number 2, and number 9, Mackenzie Almahurst, 3rd And those dividends that we saw just a moment ago, not applicable in Australia, of course. You'll have to check with the TAB agencies in your state. John Campbell driving Hilarion very nicely indeed, and $500,000 richer. Magnificent race from the New Jersey pacing arena, Meadowlands Paceway, USA, 1982 Meadowlands Pace, $1 million, and $500,000 certainly makes it a very good afternoon indeed. As I said, if you'd like to check with your local TAB agencies, and they'll fill you in with all the details. Hope you enjoyed it. Part of the 7 Network's international racing coverage.
The 1982 Meadowlands Pace.